Hey folks, MasakoX here. With Gohan being, supposedly, the next big driving force within Dragon Ball, we all expected to see the son of Goku reach his full potential, and see what the next generation of characters could do. Us growing up with him and discovering his overall peak. Well, that peak came rather soon, around the time of the Cell Saga, and never really took off after that meaningfully. However, in this story, it can. Instead of being a standard rage boost like we've seen in the original story countless times, what we get here with the boy is the legendary power that Broly got from the original DBZ movies. But that can only go so far when you basically had your entire world ripped away from you by the arrival of a couple of automatons or tin washing machines. In the last part, we continued on with our idea that the androids had basically torn the planet Earth asunder. Goku hadn't yet succumbed to his heart condition, but he soon would be. And instead of him slipping away in his sleep or just in bed in pain, he went down like a true Saiyan and fought to the end against the androids, even though he really should have left it to the remaining fighters to do, but hey, I've gotta go down in a blaze of glory. With Piccolo also gone as well as the Dragon Balls, our heroes were starting to get very major History of Trunks vibes from this plot. Only with no Trunks here, so I guess it's just history of... oh dear. Krillin had to make the call, and the remaining Dragon team members had to flee the Earth and leave it to its doom under 17 and 18. Fortunately for them though, they had somewhere to go, because thanks to Goku's visitations earlier, the Yardratians had taken them in and provided them sanctuary and a place to train so that they may be able to reclaim Earth one day. After all, the androids weren't known for training. One day, Gohan felt the time was right to mount a charge solo. He had become a monk basically, using all the Yardratian techniques to hand that he could to get a handle on his power and maybe channel it more consistently. That is, that's what he hoped for. Gohan landed the first punch. Its direction was square and true. But like how it went down when Gohan went Super Saiyan for the first time on 17 all those years ago, it didn't really do much to the android. 17 sighed. Come on, was that it? Don't let me down, buddy. I was really getting into this. Gohan couldn't believe it. He was sure that he had put all of his strength into that one hit. Surely that would have been enough to not only do some damage to the cyborg, but possibly tear his cranium clean off of his neck. But this annoying metal tin can, or whatever they were, Gohan didn't care, just took it. As if Gohan had just lightly tapped him on the cheek in a jovial manner. Well, I can tell you all out there, Gohan wasn't in the least bit jovial right now. 18 was circling them both, still with a look of concern on her face. Unlike her brother, she was wary about this one. She knew how much those Dragon Team fools got riled up about such things as pain and misery. If 17 wasn't careful, he could wind up with some problems that could escalate. She was ready to help her brother out if the need would arise. 17 reiterated his bravado, since Gohan had chosen not to indulge him the first time of asking. Well now, I thought you would have been more fun. Is that all you got? You all skipped town rather quickly, like rats from a sinking ship. I can see why now. You're nothing. Gohan still didn't answer back, despite being likened to vermin. 18 joined in this time. Yeah, at this point, my brother will probably end you all by himself, kid. This was extremely stupid of you. Please tell me you had a plan. 18 was then interrupted during her lyrical waxing by second Gohan. Huh? This one materializing right next to her face and kicking her in said face. Once again, my friends, this was only for minimal damage, but it was still nice for Gohan to see a look of surprise on that smug face. Maybe, if he could spook them enough into an error, he might be able to get somewhere. 18 then rounded on Gohan, and the pair of them locked eyes on one another. That's a neat trick. There's two of you now. Well, you're both gonna pay for that. 18 was counterattacking the second Gohan far more now. She was starting to take this encounter seriously. The son of Goku knew that his spirit control clone wouldn't last forever. Despite this being a much more enhanced iteration of multiform, something that Pibara and Tenshinhan had cooked up together in recent years, he was at least slightly happy to at least see some semblance of irritation forming on the twins' jaws. The android's twin brother was still toying with him though. It's not that the hits weren't connecting or anything, they did. The problem laid in the fact that these blows were just too weak. Even though Gohan could get the jump on them and keep them from gaining the upper hand, at least for the moment, he simply couldn't wear them down. This being the moment when Gohan fully realized just how durable these monstrosities were. But, nevertheless, he kept attacking, and he kept dodging. He had to. After all, he was pretty good at dodging, although his spirit cloning technique was halving his overall power. But he knew he couldn't tire those two out, no matter what he did. It turned out they weren't capable of feeling exhaustion. That was becoming crystal clear very quickly. It seemed that Gohan's initial plan had failed. He had hoped to wear them down or at least divide them a bit, but all he had done was severely anger them, keeping their gaze on him. What was he supposed to do now? Maybe gigantification might work, but it could make him an easy target than he already was. Then 17's punch connected. Gohan felt the taste of blood. Gohan had to stop this thinking on the fly. It wasn't working. He was overthinking things. It was causing him to make the mistakes, not those two like it was intended. Those two, they didn't need to use tactics. They just acted on almost primal instincts, gut feelings. They just did, and it got results. They were chaotic and very effective when in the right mood. He hissed when 18 had managed to blast his first clone away. Now the two of them were wailing on him in unison. The thing that he had tried so much to avoid because he knew how good it was. And he knew also that it wouldn't be possible to stall them for much longer. Also, him going alone, he had no backup. Nobody knew he was here. He was on his own, not helped by the fact that he had a third clone on Yardrat keeping up appearances. He was starting to regret that. Could all those years of training have yielded such minuscule increases in power? His gain should have been much bigger than this. His father, in his time on Yardrat, had become so much stronger with the same type of training. Another hit, an energy blast, gut punch. Gohan was really struggling at this point. Not only was he not stronger seemingly than them right now, but he had also started to make even more mistakes than before, and looking more and more haggard by the second with his overall lot. The twins were reveling in this frustration. They could see it plastered clearly on his mug. All those other humans, they were so squishy and boring, or whoever was left. Gohan's return had been just the thing they needed to regain some sort of clarity or gusto. Well, if it makes you feel any better, this might be the longest fight that we've had in, ever. Yeah, definitely better than your dear old man, blowing himself up like a coward like that. At least you have the sense to stay in one piece, bud. Then again, your little stunt there kinda makes you two pieces, but I'll take it. These words echoed in Gohan's head for a moment. He still couldn't make neither heads or tails as to why he was so dang weak. He had more gain, surely. He had more strength, surely. Then it hit him. Why he had been failing up till now. It had been staring him in the face, or more accurately, his mind. Something was holding him back. All that overthinking, all that focus. It turned out that maybe the main core of his Yardratian training had been the exact thing doing him a disservice. When it came down to it, the brass tacks, the source of his primal power, was born from instinct and nature. To rein it in with these paltry methods was turning out to be counterproductive. Had he wasted his time doing all this? All that strength, everything he had gained was really locked behind a figurative door in his mind that he promised to never open to anyone. The majority of his training as a kid had been about containing that power instead of learning how to use it properly. People were scared of him, not enticed to try and make use of that power. They treated him as some kind of freak. At this moment, he was flailing around like a rag doll in the presence of horrifying automatons. But now, something was about to change that dynamic forever, seemingly. His father was gone. His hopes were gone. And quite frankly, all his cares were gone. And now the androids were just mocking his father's demise, like they were crowbars busily trying to hit the door that locked away his true might, trying to prise it open. Don't you dare speak about my father. 17 face-palmed himself in mock understanding. Oh, that's right, I forgot. You got a point, kid. He isn't worth mentioning after all. You know, for all the fuss Jerome made of him, he was nothing special. He'll easily be forgotten. Just like you, it was getting worse. Gohan felt like those doors in his mind were starting to change shape, deform, as if something were banging from the inside, trying to force its way out. He was hanging on to dear life for his sanity. And all the androids were doing right now was stoking that ire. This whole shindig, said 18. It wasn't hard after there was nothing left when he went kaboom. But in a way, you could say that your father's everywhere and nowhere. Ah, what's the matter? Are we getting you angry? Those impish faces were looming over Gohan. For a brief moment, he went stone cold. All of that seething emotion had just vanished all of a sudden. Like he had basically just checked out, shut down any sort of understanding of what it meant to be human, and he gave the androids an icy look. This unnerved them a little bit, actually. Buddy? Gohan responded quietly, but loud enough so that means you could hear him. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. The tension broke for the twins, and they regained their cool and egged the boy on even more. Oh, is that so? Well, go on then. Get angry. Maybe it'll be more fun. For sure you'll be more fun than your father was, and those useless friends of yours. Especially the green one. Pathetic freak. As you could probably tell, the banging on the door was just getting louder and louder at this point. The dents and bulges on the door growing ever larger, almost about to split the door in twain. Remember father, Gohan thought. Remember Mr. Piccolo. Remember everyone. And Lord Kami. No, another voice rang in his mind just then, overpowering that plea for calm. Don't think. Act, it said. And that was just the thing that Gohan needed to hear right now. He was tired of thinking about other people. He was tired of thinking in general. He had to act. For a second, Gohan said nothing. The android stopped and looked at him, disappointed that they had failed seemingly in angering him any further. He was just floating there in mid-air, dripping with blood, his head tilted down, his eyes covered with black hair, his eyes obscured from view. And then he powered down. To them, it looked very much like he was giving up at this point. However, they viewed this apparent surrender as rather pathetic. The twins had lost their desire to waste Gohan now. Well, at least in a traditional sense. Sis, I'm bored now, let's go. 17 started to charge an attack and blasted in Gohan's general direction, not really caring whether they'd hit or not. There was an explosion, smoke, and the pair simply walked away. Then, not being able to sense energy, they just assumed that they'd hit Gohan and could be on their merry way, that he was wasted. Big mistake, folks. Just then, that which was once ice cold flared in the form of a giant green blaze, an explosion of pure fury. 17 turned around after feeling a blast of wind catching him off guard, and what he saw did surprise him. Genuinely this time. Gohan was there, and he looked mad. 17 could only see the whites of Gohan's eyes. The boy was screaming out at the top of his lungs. But this wasn't a normal yell or scream. This was a roar. His hair began to glow with a sickly green tint, and another gust of energy blew the androids away, sending them careening into rubble. They had a really hard time against the gust of wind. What? Their faces, for the first time, were showing something resembling fear. There was no mockery in this action. This was panic. The gate was open, and someone else had taken the wheel. His muscles had become enormous, pumping blood, looking as if they were about to explode under the sheer pressure of their own existence. And yet, he charged with an amazing speed and punched 17 square in the jaw, him losing half of his teeth in the process. Looking extremely livid, 17 shouted at the monster. "You filthy son of a..." 17 couldn't finish that sentence though, because Gohan just took him by the head and hit his own knee with it. Something cracked. It was not a figurative one. 17 was screaming random gibberish. Nobody really caught what he said, as he was trying to get away from Gohan frantically. 18 was left there utterly terrified at the sudden power boost, as she herself started to bombard Gohan with energy blasts, trying to defend her brother. But they were even less effective against the Terror, as his own hits were against them just a while ago. She watched in panic as her twin was trying to get away from Gohan, but the devil grabbed his arms and broke them easily by pulling them backwards and made them bend in a way that arms should not bend. Then he smacked 17 with some really heavy punches, which 17 was unable to defend. 18 charged them both in desperation, but Gohan simply grabbed her by the leg and hit her brother with her own body. 17! We have to run! Now! Now, now! She dragged her brother by the collar, but Gohan simply appeared in their way. There was no escape. No hope. He blasted them with a powerful attack, throwing them around like they were the ragdolls now. 18 was trying to fight back, but several punches cracked something in her face. 17 was trying to shield her, but everything he did failed against this onslaught. Spare us! We get it! We get it! We can change! Mercy! No more! No more! They hoped for a change in mood, for his irises to return and humanity to be restored. But instead, he tilted his head.
Mercy. You asked for mercy?
The voice that was coming out was unlike anything that they heard from him before. It was Jirel! It was all Jirel! He programmed us to hunt your father!
Did Jirel tell you to kill Piccolo? Did Jirel tell you to torture all those people?
They didn't respond.
No. You are nothing special and deserve to be forgotten.
The pair made a last-ditch attempt to escape, but Gohan got closer.
Fear not. In a sense, you will be everywhere and nowhere.
As he loaded his final blast, 18 embraced her brother when the ball of light burnt all their organic tissue straight from their chassis. And this then caused a chain reaction, which caused the bombs within their body to explode. The explosions didn't hurt Gohan at all, although it did level a large part of the landscape. He looked around at the broken world. Oh, this could all have been avoided had his friends just allowed him to use his rage instead of trying to control it. As of now, this feeling was magnificent. This power, radiating, shimmering. Something that could keep Earth safe once and for all. Forever. And Gohan, or whoever was behind the wheel right now, enjoyed this sensation. Meanwhile, on Yardrat, that third spirit control clone of Gohan was about to fade away at any second. The Yardratians then realizing that Gohan was gone, but the boy wasn't concerning himself about that right now. No. From this day on, he would defend his home planet, one way or another. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now. If you like this idea, check out this story here where Gohan became Super Saiyan first. And now I've actually started to update it again. And I'll still see you in the next video. Catch you later!